The Pattern Detective, Understanding People and Personality through Handwriting, Myers-Briggs, Tarot Archetypes, and Astrology Symbolism. Today we're exploring the INFJ personality through all 4 of those lenses. Each of these systems reveals something different, but together they form a clearer picture of how an INFJ thinks, feels, and expresses themselves. These are different lenses on personality. Handwriting shows how personality expresses itself physically. Myers-Briggs describes the cognitive architecture behind behavior. Tarot archetypes reflect the symbolic patterns that appear in human experience, and astrology offers another symbolic language for understanding personality tendencies. When similar themes appear across several of these lenses, the underlying personality pattern becomes easier to recognize. Each one of those options is time-stamped, so you can jump to whichever one you would like to look at first. So with the handwriting signals, we'll only look at the underlying trait from each heading in this video. If you'd like to explore more, I cover them in more details in other videos on this channel. So we're going to look at intuitive, empathy, detail-oriented, and loner selective. So first we'll look at intuitive. So what we're looking for here are gaps between letters within script. So some of the letters have to be joined up to make it script, but there are some gaps. This is actually called print script, and the gaps show intuition. The more gaps, the stronger the intuition. I haven't put the arrows to every gap, but you get the idea. Then we'll look at empathy. And for empathy, we're looking at nicely curved, soft strokes at the baseline. Now, every single stroke at the baseline doesn't have to be curved. If you look at the word note on the first line, the first one is an angular base, but the second part of the N is curved. So there is empathy there every time there is the curved baseline. So the more curved baselines, the stronger the empathy. Next, we'll look at detail-oriented. And here we're going to look at I dots. The I dot has to be present to be detail-oriented at all. If it's missing, it's someone who doesn't pay any attention to detail. And the closer the I dot is to the top of the letter, the more detail-oriented the person is. Now, it doesn't matter how they draw the I dots. These ones are all just dots, but it doesn't matter if it's a dash, a slash, a circle. It's the placement of it. So if it's placed close to the top of the I, it's detail-oriented. And loner and selective are 2 different traits, but they're very close to each other. So the loner is someone who needs time on their own, as you'll gather from the name loner. And that shows in a lower extender that just goes down and doesn't come back. These ones are very straight. They don't have to be that straight, but they do have to go down with no return stroke. Now, selective does have a return stroke, but the loop it forms is very narrow. So these are people who are very selective of who they allow into their lives. So loner and selective both belong here. Now we'll look at the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. We've mentioned that this is all about the INFJ, which is the NI, which is intuition introverted, FE, feeling extroverted, TI, thinking introverted, and SE, sensing extroverted. The dominant function of the INFJ personality is introverted intuition. This focuses on patterns, symbolism, and long-term meaning. Rather than concentrating on immediate facts, it looks beneath the surface to understand how events connect and where they may lead in the future. This function is closely related to the INFJ tendency towards depth and symbolic thinking. The second function is extroverted feeling, FE. This is concerned with relationships and emotional harmony. It helps a person read social dynamics, notice emotional shifts, and respond in ways that maintain connection. This supports the INFJ's strong capacity for empathy and emotional awareness. The third function is introverted thinking, or TI. This works internally to refine ideas and make them logically consistent. Although INFJs are often associated with intuition and empathy, this analytical process helps them organize their insights and communicate them clearly. And the fourth function is extroverted sensing, abbreviated SE. This focuses on immediate sensory information and real-time experience. For INFJs, this function tends to be less dominant, which can sometimes lead to sensitivity to intense environments or overstimulation. Periods of quiet and reflection often help restore balance. Now we'll look at the archetypal mirrors as shown in the major arcana tarot cards associated with the INFJ. The High Priestess. She represents intuition, awareness, and hidden knowledge. This archetype reflects the INFJ tendency towards depth, reflection, and symbolic understanding. Then we have Temperance, which symbolizes balance and integration. It mirrors the INFJ emotional attunement and ability to blend different perspectives into a harmonious whole. Next we have Justice, which represents clarity, discernment, and internal standards. This archetype reflects the analytical side of the INFJ personality and the desire for internal consistency. And the last one is the Hermit, who symbolizes introspection and inner guidance. It reflects the INFJ's need for periods of solitude in order to process ideas and restore mental energy. Astrology Symbolism. In astrology, similar themes appear symbolically in the water signs. Scorpio is associated with psychological depth, pattern recognition, and uncovering hidden patterns, while Pisces reflects empathy, emotional awareness, and symbolic imagination. Together, these themes resemble the INFJ pattern we've seen through handwriting, Myers-Briggs, and tarot. Each of these systems describes a personality from a different perspective. Handwriting shows behavioral expression. Myers-Briggs describes cognitive processes. Tarot reflects symbolic patterns, and astrology reflects symbolic tendencies associated with the zodiac. When these themes appear across several of these lenses, they reinforce one another. The result is a more complete picture of the personality. Personality is complex and rarely explained by a single system. But when different frameworks point towards the same patterns, those patterns become easier to recognize. And that's where personality analysis becomes more interesting, not in choosing one model, but in seeing how several of them intersect. More from the Pattern Detective coming soon.